let's get to this. So 3 you started in class. So imagine for a second that you have the dimensions of a building. So somebody drew the dimensions of a building. And in real life, the dimensions are 75 feet and 80 feet, right? So they took that and made a scale drawing. So in their notebook somewhere, somebody did a little version of the actual building. So we want to find out in their notebook or in their drawing notebook, what would be the dimensions in inches? How many inches is that? Or how many inches? So you got to figure out what 80 feet would be in inches and 75 feet in inches using this particular scale right here. So let's do, no, highlighting right, let's do that first. 80 feet in our notebook, in our drawing notebook, would be equal to how many inches? Well, we're given that 1 inch represents 12 feet. And then on this side, right, we're going to write inches on the top and feet at the bottom so we don't get confused. And on this side, we're going to write in our unknown and the other piece of information that we have. So we're going to find out what 80 feet is. So 80 will go over here. And I'm interested in finding out 80 feet is equal to how many inches in our notebook. Cross multiply. 12x. 1 times 80 is 80. We divide both sides by 12. That isolates our x. Right? And then if you take your calculator and divide 80 divided by 12, that's going to give us 6.6 repeating, or let's just write 6.6 like that. So in our notebook, right, the drawing that we did of our scale drawing that we did of the building, this is 6.6 inches. Now the 75 feet, it comes now, right? So it's like we got to do two proportions. So again, 1 inch is 12 feet. That's given to us, and we're interested in finding out what 75 feet is. That's what I'm trying. So 75 feet is equal to how many inches? Cross multiply again, we get 12 feet. Sorry, 12 times x is 12x. 1 times 75 is 75. Divide by 12, divide by 12. 75 divided by 12 is 6.25. So in our notebook, this side here would measure 6.25 inches. And this would measure 6.6. So this is the scale drawing, right? The drawing that we made of the building. 4, again, says 1 inch represents 85 miles. So here's our scale. Right, so right here's my scale. So on the map, so let's say city A and city B, and in real life, if you were to drive, it's 800 miles. That's a long distance. So how much would it be on our map? Well, that's, again, given to us. 1 inch is 85 miles. On the other side, let's put inches on top, miles at the bottom. And we're trying to figure out what 800 miles is. So 800 miles is equal to how many inches? Well, instead of question mark, we're going to write an x, cross multiply. 85 times x is 85x. 1 times 800 is 800. We're going to divide both sides by 85. Right, this and this simplifies to 1. And 800 divided by 85 equals 9 point rounded 41 inches. So on our map, this 800 miles in real life would be represented by 9.41 inches. Okay. 5, again, there's our scale, right? 1 inch represents 65 miles on the map. So 1 inch is 65 miles on real life. And over here, they're saying, what if you had 2,300 miles? How many inches would that be on the map? Well, right, that's what we're looking for. Now, instead of question mark, pick a variable, letter. And we're going to, again, cross multiply. 65 times x is 65x. 2,300 times 1 is 2,300. We want this equation to will look like this, right? X has to be isolated. So 2300 divided by 65. So if we divide this by 65 and divide this by 65, 65 divided by 65 is 1, we get 1x. And 2300 divided by 65 is 35.38 rounded inches. So not equal, but approximately. So on a map, what would 2,300 miles would look? It would look like 35.38 inches. 6. Again, very repetitive. So our scale, the length of a road is 1,000 miles. If 1 inch represents 100 miles, what is the length of the road on the map? So here's my scale. It says that 1 inch is 100 miles. Right, that's given to us, our scale. Right, given scale. On the other side, let me put inches on top, miles at the bottom, right? And I'm trying to figure out what 1,000 miles would look like on a map. Right, so 1,000 miles on this map would be how many inches? Well, figure it out. Cross multiply, this is 100x. 1 times 1,000 is 1,000, so this one's easy. Divide by 100, divide by 100. That simplifies to 1, and this simplifies to 10. So on a map, 1,000 miles would be just simply 10 inches. Last question. Another building question. So if we have a building that is 740 feet going this way and 800 feet going that way. So if you were to draw that building, how many inches would be 740 and how many inches would be 800 feet? So like a previous problem we did, what's our given scale? So let's do one at a time. Let's do this guy first, 800 feet. So the scale says 1 inch is 8 feet. And then I'm going to write inches here and feet here. I know that I want to find out what 800 feet is, so 800 feet at the bottom, and that's going to give me the number of inches. Cross multiply. 8 times x is 8x. 1 times 800 is 800. Divide by 8, divide by 8, so x would be 100. So in our notebook drawing, right, of the building, 800 feet would be represented by 100 inches. Okay, and then now we've got to do 740. So 740, let me do it over here. So again, 1 inch is 8 feet. Number of inches, number of feet. So this time I want to find out what 740 feet look like in inches. So x goes on top. 8x. 1 times 740 is 740. And then divide by 8, divide by 8. That simplifies to 1. And 740 divided by 8 is a nice number, 92.5 inches. All right, so on a scale drawing of the building, that 800 feet would be 100 inches in our drawing, and that 740 feet would be 92.5 inches. Okay, so again, just for you to warm up and think about proportions here. All right.